Hi there! If you're watching this video, you're interested in knowing how to deal with racism. That's what I'm going to share with you today. However, before we begin, I'm going to give you a bit of information about myself, family background that is. You see, on my father's side, my late grandfather was a chartered surveyor, while my grandmother is a retired nurse. And on my mother's side, my grandfather is a retired banker and expatriate, while my grandmother is a retired sous chef. My father is a medical doctor working as a GP, while my mother is a high school teacher working as head of faculty. And if you knew my sister, you'd know she's destined for great things. The best way to describe her is an all-rounder. Regarding myself, I'm finishing my university degree in Economics and Politics BSc at the University of Essex and will begin a grad scheme in 2021 in insurance broking and risk management.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Nenny and welcome to my training video on racism. Is a black British boy what you were expecting? If you weren't, ask yourself this question: how do I see black people? Regarding my family background, I just say that's testament to their hard work, and that's something that I want to continue. One of my favorite quotes from TV is from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In one episode, Carlton Banks is rejected from a black fraternity because he's deemed a sellout. He responds by saying, "Being black isn't what I'm trying to be, it's who I am. I'm running the same race and jumping the same hurdles as you are, so why are you tripping me up?" So, this video is going to be split into 5 sections. The first section I'll be talking about is microaggression. I'll explain what it is and then give a few examples. Then I want you in your groups to discuss what is the issue with each statement. The second topic I'll be discussing today is white privilege. Again, I'll give an example and then I want you to discuss in your groups what's wrong with this scenario. The third topic I'll be discussing is what to do when you hear a racist remark in the classroom or in the workplace. The fourth topic I'll be discussing is how should white people address black people? And the fifth topic I'll be discussing is what can you do to deter ignorance and bigotry? So, microaggression. What is microaggression? Well, microaggression is an action that is subtle in its delivery that unconsciously creates a prejudiced attitude towards a marginalized group. I'm about to give you some examples and I want you to discuss in your groups what is wrong with these statements. "You speak very well for a black guy." "You're the whitest black guy I've ever met." "You're black, so you must be fast." "Ugh, their kind is so aggressive." Now, can you see the issue with these statements? What does it mean to be black? What does it mean to be white? Can't black people dress appropriately? Can't black people have a calm and collected demeanor? Think about it. Now, the thing is with microaggression, it can unknowingly be offensive, but I believe that this term is a cop-out because it can be seen as a pretext for making racist jokes. Please do not make any microaggressive jokes. It's not appropriate. So, white privilege. What's white privilege? White privilege is the societal privilege that white people have that gives them a significant advantage over black people. Some people pretend that this doesn't exist. In simple terms, it means white people not having to worry about racism, and this transcends the workplace and the classroom. I'm going to give a few examples and I want you in your groups to discuss what is wrong with this example of privilege. Not fearing for your life when being pulled over by the police. A white individual getting a lighter sentence having committed the same crime as a black individual. Not worrying about having to prove yourself above and beyond your peers in school. not being affected by a negative stereotype, unlike blacks, Latinos, and Muslims. So the first two examples I gave were to do with the justice system. Due to institutionalized and systemic racism, blacks are more likely to be arrested by police after being pulled over. They are more likely to receive a higher sentence having committed the same crime as a white person. The third statement about not having to prove yourself beyond your peers in school is because of unconscious bias in future careers and employment. Despite the fact that blacks have the qualifications and the abilities to do very good, well-paid jobs, they are often rejected simply because the company that they are applying for doesn't want to ruin their aesthetic. Now, the fourth statement that I mentioned about not having a negative stereotype in comparison to blacks, Muslims, and Latinos. I mean, can you really argue? Whites are not called thugs, aggressive, and dismissive. Whites are not called criminals and drug lords. For the longest time, the media has struggled to use the term terrorist to describe an act of terrorism from a white person. Instead, they use the term white supremacy or hate crime. The third topic I'll be discussing is what to do when you hear racist remarks in the classroom and in the workplace. Now, as a young black man, I'm often caught in between a rock and a hard place. The thing is, if I decide to fight fire with fire, I can be seen as the aggressor, simply because of my ethnicity. People will then say I'm too sensitive and then proceed to shun me. However, if I decide to stay silent, provocation can continue. This could eventually lead to bullying. In a first world country such as the UK, whites are the majority, blacks are the minority. White people need to use their societal status for the greater good. In my opinion, if you stay silent during a racist joke or laugh at a racist joke, you are part of the problem. What you should do is call out the instigator. Speak up. If the racist individual is not willing to listen to you, then you need to file a complaint and report it to the appropriate authorities. Normally in a school, that will be your head of year, your housemaster, or even the headmaster. In the workplace, this will normally be your department manager, your line manager, or could just be your boss. If you are a bystander and you do not intervene, you are complicit. Silence is complicity. So, the fourth topic I'll be discussing is how should white people address black people? Now, typically when a white person meets a black person for the first time, they are interested in their family's background, but it's the delivery of the question which is the problem. Typically, when a white person meets a black person for the first time, they ask the question, "Where are you from?" Now, this might seem like a normal question. However, it's the follow-up question that's the problem. If a white person asked me, "Benjamin, where are you from?" and I respond, "I'm from Norwich," then the white person asks, "Oh, no, where are you really from?" That's the problem. You see, they see my skin color and then they initially think that I'm not from the UK. This is a bit ignorant because sometimes black people can have more of a British background than the white person asking the question. so please just be mindful. An easy way to ask someone's family background is, what is your heritage? I would be very surprised if any Black British person got offended by that question. Now, I'm going to talk about the use of the term coloured. Now, you're probably wondering, what's wrong with the term coloured? The problem with the term coloured is that it creates an us and them narrative. Is white not a colour? So why is it that minorities get these labels, but white people don't? Was it created from the white man? If you really must identify us, please just use the term black. As long as there's no ill intent in the delivery or in the way that you are describing a black person, black is fine. Finally, if you're unsure, please just ask. It shows interest and it shows respect. You're willing to address someone in the appropriate manner. For example, in the Nigerian community, we address family friends that are elders as uncles and aunties, out of respect. It's just like when we're kids and we used to go around each other's houses. Normally we'd ask, oh, what do I call your mum and your dad? Out of respect. Now, the fifth and final topic I'll be discussing is what can you do to deter ignorance and bigotry. So the first one is ask questions, be inquisitive, be curious to learn about different cultures and diversity. The second is be willing to ask and learn why Black people ask for equality. And thirdly, to white people, weaponize your privilege. Use your status, your positions, and your platforms to address this subject matter. As a young Black man, I will continue to educate my own peers and colleagues. Keep spreading awareness by use of direct action and protest. And if you want real change, you can write to your MP, you can start a blog, you can start a petition, you can get in contact with your local news outlet. I did this by reaching out to the headmaster of my old high school. The thing is, if you criticize someone with full force, especially those in power, they'll become defensive. In my opinion, questions, queries, and concerns are dealt best with deliberation and debating. However, if the individual who is in charge doesn't want to listen, by all means, direct action, protest, that's the way to go. Freedom of speech.
Out of the recommended texts, I suggest reading Akala's book first, because it's an intriguing first-person perspective of 20th century Britain from a Black British man. He highlights attitudes towards Black people at the time, the role of the media, events such as the Brixton and Notting Hill riots, and the Windrush generation. It allows us to understand why movements such as Black Lives Matter have become prominent all over the world. Out of the films, I highly recommend watching Coach Carter first. The film combines comedy and sport, but these themes do not detract from the main message. Even though this is an American film, you'll understand the reality for Black men and how an individual's choice can set them down the right path in life. Have a movie night with your family. You'll thank me later.
I hope you've learned something today. So thank you for listening and have a nice day.